Hello. It is I, sleep deprivation man. So much so that I can't even say the word deprivation. We're watching Cloud9 lose. I did not watch this game when it happened live. Um, and so I actually really enjoy doing these uh, kind of more serious. I don't want to call it a review because it's not. Not really, at least. I guess it is, but uh, I like doing these more serious viewings as my first watch. Um, I just doesn't really change anything. Just something I enjoy more so than anything else. More than the alternative of having watched it and then going back. Um, and so without further ado, okay, into the draft. All right, Olaf band. That's targeted obviously at Flabber. His team functions really well when their very aggressive jungler is allowed to be very aggressive. So I mean, shut that down immediately. There have been occasions where Olaf was available and they did not pick it, so that is something to consider. But I understand Evil Genius's thinking. This is, by the way, the Evil Geniuses with Huni and Golden Glue rather than Kumo and Jizuke. So it is, I believe most people would consider pound for pound worse, but probably more different at least. Uh, their their carry potential is a lot less from mid lane. Um, I mean, Kuma wasn't really doing wasn't like hard carrying games. I think he had a few pretty decent games, but nothing that was saying like he can become the primary carry, so it doesn't really matter. Bang ends up becoming the uh, primary player to watch during these games, so actually makes perfect sense when we go into the second ban. LeBlanc is gone, which means another champion that can get rid of 80 carries. So it's good. Also, Niski, I mean, pretty much every mid laner can play LeBlanc to decent effect. Niski is no different, and again, it hurts your primary carry. Ezreal is trying to take away from Aang. Moving Karma is interesting. I suppose it makes sense. Um, Generally, as the red side team, I think that you see these picks being picked up on the red side, and they just ban Aphelios, uh, because that way you can pick these two immediately, or force this team to pick Karma. Either way, I mean Karma is seen as very strong, triple flex, um, technically a quad flex, but that's very specific niche situations. Um, Huni did play it the day before this, where the entirety of EG picked a very low damage composition. It was congruent, but it was very low damage. It all made sense together, but it didn't have anyone that was doing solid DPS into a team that had a lot of DPS. So, so these two bands, I mean, they're fine. Nothing too weird from there. Also need to volume on this, and then carry on. Okay. Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate is really strong when you have a mid laner who actively works to enable his jungler. Uh, well, you know, the whole top side is very dangerous. Decent carry potential in their top laner, jungler. And I mean, just with you when you have an enabling type of play style and a player that can play Twisted Fate to be pretty good effect. seems worth getting rid of. Also, potentially, Golden Glue doesn't play it himself. So you're seeing that this is a potential first pick and is indicative of the fact that Golden Glue doesn't play it or isn't comfortable playing it with a limited amount of practice because he is a new addition to this team. Very, very new. Signed and then playing immediately before they went past their academy mid laner, which I have my own problems with. I feel like if you have an academy mid laner, just play them. But I mean, they won this game, so I guess they're just gonna say that they made the right choice. Then Rumble. I guess because of Huni, right? Rumble's not the ban I would have ever expected. Maybe Huni. I haven't really been watching Academy, which is where Huni's been playing. Maybe Huni's shown incredible Rumble play recently. It's not super meta. It is a champion that he's known for, but sure.
The board, no one's doing your damage except Golden Glue for EG. I want to see pass because you can go if you.
Aphelios is a fairly obvious first pick. You've actually just banned out two of its best options against it. Someone who can outrange it, someone who can outrange it, and play defensively or for her team with utility. If she's the support, and then very annoying in these two other positions. So yeah, seems exactly what Cloud9 would have expected. Now let's see how they actually pick into it. You have to play things that can outrange it, right? LS is a huge believer that Aphelios has weaknesses that are fairly easy to exploit, mostly because he is a mobile champion that doesn't have a good time when people are in his face or when he's just literally not able to reach anyone because he has no way of actually getting anywhere, right? This is true. So if you do keep him at arm's length, you and are still able to affect him or his team, then he's a very sad panda. And of course, if you're just in his face killing him, then that's also a problem. But they did get rid of these two big options to kill the Aphelios, so that's not really on the table for them. And they also, and Cloud9 themselves got rid of the Karma and Ezreal, which are good options into doing that exact thing. So yeah, even though Ezreal I think hasn't shown super great, hasn't had super great showings, or has had a few occasions where it just doesn't feel good or look good into Aphelios because Aphelios is a monster and Ezreal takes a lot of time, patience, and is more kitey, I guess. The playstyles are obviously different, and I think it requires more coordination to play around the Ezreal than it does the Aphelios, because you just stack you just go, all right, we just protect him and then stack everything on him, and then he just kills them all. Whereas Ezreal is something that says, okay, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna Q over here, I'm gonna walk over here, Q this way, I'm gonna I'm gonna E forward, and then I'm gonna Q. Like there's a whole. It's different. Look, I explained it perfectly. Don't.
You can go alongside super aggressive dominant junglers, right? Like you can do it with Graves, you can do it with Olaf. Like there's multiple ways to make this style of compositions work.
Okay, so Ashe is a champion that shows off a lot of utility. Is another one of those champions that can actually outrange the Aphelios very, very hard. Now, the LCS players on Ashe, maybe there's a problem with the ping or something, but there's some very wild, just errant crystal arrows all over the place. Doesn't say that obviously it's difficult to hit an arrow from across the map, but sometimes they're not that far and they're just like going way over. I don't know what the problem is. Um, that is not super relevant. This is a good pick into Aphelios. Keeps him at bay. Can actually win the lane against him, or at least uh, contest him in the lane. And then you have the Sin, which has absolutely zero synergy with this except for picking people off. So I guess not absolutely no synergy. But the question is, do you actually care about that particular synergy? If you don't, then it's absolutely useless. But if you can build a composition around picking people off, around using this and using this to um, pick off people who are in uh, singular situations where they're just around a jungle maybe, or they're moving to a different lane, um, then yes, you can do. Then this can become very relevant with each other. But again, the previous issue that I just mentioned, where the arrow is very difficult to hit, is going to be an issue. It's not necessarily reliable pick potential. You need other things to help with that. Um, Niski's Galio is big in this spot. What's it, like a, I don't know, Camille or Licorice or something? A carry top laner. I mean, in this case, Sven isn't really on a playmaking champion. He's more on a utility for his team, whereas Blabber is trying to hard play make, and it's not necessarily congruent with each other, except for that one thing. So
I don't think they went for any of them, unfortunately for AG, but they do have Bang back on a hard carry, scaling team fighter here with the Aphelios.
uh, this has been growing. This has just had such an increase in popularity. Um, it's interesting because it's very rare that it can actually use the ultimate to Ohm Wrecker a tower. Um, it's basically just, especially in the jungle position, it's basically just using the ultimate to stay alive longer in a fight, to be more disruptive through their just size, block auto attacks, not block auto attacks, block skill shots, gain a lot of extra health, extra reach, DC, damage, all that. But it also, from the jungle, is very low damage very soon because it builds basically straight health and resistance. Zoe is interesting. So far, we have a 550 range hard carry, a melee range, very fast farming jungler, and the longest range mage, poke mage in the game. Um, there is very little to do with synergy here, because this guy is going to go forward. She's going to be hitting targets that Aphelios never will get to hit. And Aphelios is going to sit here as, like, in case he's the break glass in case of emergency situation where, oh, his entire team is dead. Well, maybe he can 1v5. Right now, this is not helping him almost at all, because while Volibear does have defensive properties, not really what he wants to do. Zoe has literally zero defensive properties. So, I mean, other than preventing people from. So here's the thing, right? The defensive properties that Volibear has is based around his ability to say, no, you can't come in here because I'm going to attack you. Obviously, the threat from a jungle Volibear is different from a top lane Volibear. And we can, I guess, cross that bridge when we get there. But the issue is, so he does that. He plays defensively. He protects his Aphelios. So he's standing here, and Aphelios is here, and he's like, all right, you can't come in here. because I'll jump on you, right? That's not after a certain point. That's no longer a threat. It can be a threat if you're ahead or if you have enough follow up with that, which is kind of there. But mostly you're going to have zoning control with the Zoe, which means people won't be able to get into him, the Aphelios, without the Aphelios wanting people to get into him. So, but right now there's no one that helps him do anything that he really wants to do, except for the way that you play this is. Maybe I'm downplaying their synergy. Because in my mind, I like to think about as many avenues as possible in terms of play pattern. The normative play pattern, I don't for Zoe doesn't help Felios other than soften the targets up. But if he can't reach them, it doesn't matter what she does, right? She's softening the targets for herself to kill them later. Whereas Aphelios, I mean, if they come into him, Aphelios is doing nothing, or is going to kill them if they come into him. But then they're also just purposefully losing the game. Whereas on the other end, if they're coming into him and Zoe hasn't actually managed to do anything to them, then she's not doing her job. So it's weird because it doesn't even matter what this guy is. This guy could be Rammus, and it is going to be the same effectiveness so far. Like if you just bang, you're on Rammus today, he's going to do the same thing because he's really only there to get played into, and no one's going to want to play into that. So as long as Zoe's doing her job, this is not a factor. If she's not able to do her job, maybe she's falling behind, or maybe she gets caught during her little dances, maybe we could see something as like an insurance policy. So there's that. But insurance policy is not a consistent team composition.
Cloud9 now just have to wait and figure out what their last pick's going to be before the second.
We're going to see the Galio.
A lot of heavy clicking for Niski. Where's he going to go?
Syndra. Okay, so Syndra is I believe, a good, really good matchup into Zoe. There was actually in the first 2 weeks of spring, Zoe was getting huge amounts of play. I think she was the most picked mid laner because Syndra was just disabled. She just wasn't able to be picked due to competitive rules. So she didn't have a presence in the bans. She just couldn't be played at all due to some bug that I do not believe they disclosed. So in this case, you have a really good matchup now for Niski, which allows him to help his Blabber, and then his Blabber will then maybe be able to translate with the pick potential from the Ashe later on in the game. And then of course you have obviously the one-shot potential for Niski. So there's a lot of the ideas of like pick comps and all that. Poke compositions are fairly dated, not necessarily used as terminology now, but that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And the question is, what do they want to get rid of? Right? What options do they not want to see evil geniuses have? And what options do evil geniuses not want to see Cloud9 have? I would imagine that evil geniuses are going to be getting rid of further pick potential champions. I mean, I don't know how much more, or if they even care at this point about what not what Huni, but what Aphelios does in this game. Because if Aphelios becomes a target, I mean, or if it is a viable target, then there's issues in general, because I mean that means that this isn't working, this isn't working. You're not deterring them from just going into Aphelios and killing him, so that's you've wasted 3 picks. None of them are useful, right? So do you say, all right, if they can just kill him immediately, we've lost the game anyway, or do you get rid of options? Do you get rid of Malphite? Is that a Licorice champion? Do you get rid of Gangplank? Gangplank can set up these picks, right? Because of his global ultimate. Anyone's in any specific spot, he just starts ulting them. You can get an Ash Arrow, you can get Blabber, you can get Kindred. So then you have 2 global ultimates and potentially global pressure with this mid jungle duo. I don't know. They're probably gonna get rid of. Evil Geniuses probably have to get rid of Bard, because that, I mean, just it ruins everything. Because the moment that this is no longer a threat, because if Bard just Tempered Fates this, they just all go in and it doesn't matter. Like, she can't necessarily prevent that. Volibear can't prevent things without the threat of his whole team. So he's a threat because he can jump in and he can disrupt the he can be a counter engage, but then he doesn't do anything on his own, especially from the jungle position, which I assume is where he's going. I do not know the actual drafts. All I know is the end result. So it's so what? It's probably gonna end up being like Bard, Tom Kench, because that's just how we roll. Or someone is banning Tom Kench. I don't know who. You know, it's probably gonna be Cloud9. Let's be honest. It's gonna be like Bard, Thresh. Yeah, yeah. I again do not know.
You know, LeBlanc is one of the things that people often talk about being kind of dangerous for
Let's
Zoe,
see.
but obviously they had banned that to just use the paddle start to clear
Blitzcrank.
up the minion waves, just back off and kind of keep your distance. Obviously, a lot of mobility.
You know what? I don't think that's that great of a ban. Because if okay, so they get Blitzcrank here, right? So then why do you need to soften someone up? Because Blitzcrank just insta kills 2 people already, 3 people pretty much. Lee Sin maybe can survive if he is decently strong. But in a lot of situations, that he gets blitz hooked, I guess that's pretty dangerous. If he's strong and he gets blitz hooked, then it's just good for him, right? Because you just did half his job. But if he's weak, then you already have a problem, right? So that you have to also assume a certain level of normative play, right? So if Lee Sin is below the bar, Blitzcrank only exacerbates the issue that any other champion would have been able to do, and probably would have had better utility across the whole team, right? If he's above the bar, then Blitzcrank is actually good for you because he. I mean, I guess this is not good for these two, but Blitzcrank is always a threat to immobile champions, so not like it gets perma banned just because it's always a threat to low mobility champions.
Given with that move,
Let's see.
stealthy,
How many support bans? Jace. Jace. See, I thought about Jace, but I thought to myself, no, there's no way. Why would they do that? Why? Other than creating a monopoly on poke? You know what? I've reasoned through it. It's actually better than I thought. It's still, I don't know if it's super great. Unless their intended top laner, maybe it's Volibear, has a very hard time into Jace. Gangplank is still, by the way, pretty good here for both teams. So I would expect it to be banned, or because it has to be banned here, right? I don't know. They're probably gonna ban Tom Kench, and they have to ban Gangplank, right? Because it's so good. It has to be. Because Gangplank means like a guaranteed engage, guaranteed bubble, guaranteed jump in. He can hit a good ult. It creates a kiting situation, extra zone control with Zoe, a legitimate threat with a polar bear zone. I mean, it gives everything. And then on this team also, extra pick potential, uh, good weak side top laner that can function without Blabber having to do anything, and is really good on resources too. So if you give it resources, he can start snowballing really, really hard. Uh, just everything, right?
Pretty defensively, but some top lane
Jace
abilities do go in the
is.
way of Licorice, and we
I mean, obviously, Licorice has shown a lot of willingness to play Jace. Hasn't shown super great play on Jace, but I mean, pretty good and pretty good. Early laning phase has always been a little wonky. Not sure why. Um, but I think he does very well outside of those specific lanings situations. Um, Jace here, yeah, I think it's just down to creating a monopoly on poke. Has
has
to be.
really been liking Jace. That
And then
as
you have
well
to
as the
believe.
Wukong
Oh,
set are his
Nautilus.
most.
What? You guys are on something else. So you have the Nautilus. So you have it here. What are they planning to pick here that doesn't like Nautilus? And also, what does Nautilus? What would Nautilus do for this composition? It would create an engage, but then they also have a top laner that can do that. They have to ban Gangplank here, right? Why am I so tunneled on Gangplank? I'm like convinced it's by far it's like the best pick for both teams, and whoever just gets it, just like hard wins draft.
Played.
Not true,
We'll see if
but
they want to try to continue targeting some of those
okay.
because
But
you know,
I
if they
predicted
ban
one ban.
Gangplank,
Oh,
it's gonna
Bard,
be
and there it
a
is.
difficult top
The
laner
Bard is.
for the GP. Then Huni
This
does
also
something
gives
more
draft
adventurous to
resources
actually kind of
to Licorice, so
Right,
he can
Bard
creates.
through. Bardash just saw that lane just a game ago.
So this is very good into Aphelios. It creates situations where you tempered fate him, he's off the fight, and then you can just all in the rest of his team. So now he has the all my friends are dead syndrome, and while in certain situations he can be very, very good in those situations, where I mean you just, oh well, you surrounded me, now call the ambulance, but not for me. Uh, those kinds of, but it's, yeah, those don't happen often enough because it's usually a specific combination of guns. Well, I guess Crescendum pops up enough, so Crescendum is almost all you need for that situation, but not exactly enough. So yeah, no, the Bard is really good. Also does allow for, you guessed it, pick potential. Look at that. Look at that. Is, you know what? This might be, this would be a huge discussion for me if I was on a team, right? The value, or the Bard versus Gangplank value. I think the Gangplank is huge value here, but Bard is also massive value, right? And I think Bard probably edges out. Probably. But then it's a question of probably should have just banned it. Because unless Huni doesn't play Gangplank, in which case, I mean, well, but you know, what am I? Alistair.
10-14 and Gangplank is the hover. Gangplank may well.
I didn't know that was going to happen. Obviously, because if I did, I would have predicted these better. I do remember hearing or reading about the Alistar though. It's interesting because obviously you're getting rid of 2 hard engage, or I guess Blitzcrank I guess is not hard engage, whatever. It's not. The distinction isn't that important. You're getting rid of 2 aggressive support champions, and then they are still picking an aggressive support champion. Importantly, it's an aggressive support champion that is not prone to getting picked off very easily. His ultimate allows him to walk away from a lot of situations that he ordinarily wouldn't be able to get out of. He has a lot of CC, so he can actually be caught out and then have his team join him. Especially when you have a Zoe, again, long range. You have a Gangplank, global range. This Aphelios is good, I swear. It's just that he needs a team, and he just doesn't have a team. He basically doesn't have a team. If Bang doesn't do anything this game, I wouldn't be at all shocked. It's his job to be carried. Like, he doesn't actually have agency in this game. If anyone tries to kill him, it is not up to him to survive. He just has to flash and heal and run away and hope and pray that his team can help him, because that's just, he doesn't have other alternatives. Not that he's a detriment to his team, like an anchor, because it's actually an insurance policy. But insurance policies, as I said, like, I don't know, a long time ago now, are not necessarily a ticket to congruent compositions. The Gangplank, I just spent like 10 minutes describing how insane it is for either composition. So it's super insane. It's unbelievably good. And I'm not entirely sure. There are answers. I'm not well versed in matchups. I don't know if that's been made clear. But Gangplank wins a lot of matchups. Or goes even, and so there isn't a situation where you can just, and even in situations where where these guys try to collectively work against the Gangplank, he's still Gangplank. He still reaches those item breakpoints. You delayed him. You haven't stopped him. Kind of similar to other ramping oriented champions. What could the last pick be? Because frankly, at this point, I don't actually know what saves this composition. Because how do they get in? Like, what do? They're gonna get Zoe queued, paddle starred all over, and then they're gonna get barreled all over. They're never actually allowed into an area. This is assuming even played, throughout a game. Even normal play. Obviously, if Cloud9 are super ahead, these guys are irrelevant. So, I guess that's their plan, because that's what they have this jungler for. They're very dependent on their utility CC. I think they're really dependent on their long range utility to carry them out of this situation, because they can't actually get in. This guy, I mean, he's just, after 20 minutes, Lee Sin is ordinarily pretty sad in a competitive game. This game he's going to be even more sad, unless he's got like 3 kills on his belt, under his belt. And then the Syndra's fine. That doesn't save you at all. Lucian is actually a really good pick into Gangplank, though.
This is the first Alistar pick this split, and it is going to be GP. But
oh goodness.
Then you risk some of these hard counter picks. Things like Illusion can be incredibly difficult to go up against. That being said, if you withstand it, Lucian often does fall off pretty hard compared to some of these other champions. Your GP obviously
that is scale, the opposite of a good pick into Gangplank. So Set is, he can go even in the lane, right? But you're not. The Lucian is probably just a nonsense hover into Huni. But it is actually good. Gangplank cannot play the game into Lucian. So it was actually like a decent potential choice if you wanted to just make sure this guy can't play the game. But that's not enough, really. And now, I mean, what? That maybe like he not only does he just go even in this lane, he now has the problem of how do I get in? There's no way Licorice is looking at this going, I'll find a way. He's sitting here going, we better be ahead by like 5k gold at 20 minutes because otherwise we're just lose. So yeah, this is really good draft. For really good is probably too strong. It's a draft win for EG. It got to where it wanted to be. It definitely got to where it wanted to be.
Much more of a safe pick, looking more towards
the Aphelios is effectively useless.
towards those later stages of the game. And
in fact, Varus would have been insane here. I cannot believe that Varus has fallen off to no value at all. I don't think the nerfs are that bad. Yeah, Aphelios probably not the best pick. It probably would have been better to ban it away, but it's not gonna. I cannot imagine Bang is gonna do anything this game. It's gonna be up to these three. Svenskeren and Bang are not super relevant, which is really not great, which is why I don't say this is a really good draft. I just think that it's good, especially into this draft. So, that's the way. Now, 30 minutes into this video, 36 minutes into this video, let's actually get into the game.
Still has not picked up a scaling, and he can just kind of withstand and try to play that.
Drafting is important, right?
Going to keep more options as a result. It's also worth noting that Svenskeren
what is this?
Going PTA. We have been seeing, more kind of variety. I think.
Actually, what I'm gonna do, just for the sake of who got that, Vulcan, why did you get that? Don't need that much headroom. Okay, so in this situation, this is experience for the solo laner that should be on Niski, because it means that he gets level 2 on the first wave, I believe. How the numbers work. Which basically gives him guaranteed level 2. And he's already on Syndra, who has a really good level 1, and is into Zoe, which already has a bad matchup into Syndra. So, I mean, all of those advantages would have been massive, and for some reason, they didn't coordinate so that Niski gets this. Minor, but it's a thing. Alright, I have the playback on 2 times speed. Let's go.
Ruins, some people going phase rush, some people going towards, even like Conqueror and various
Killing that ward. Fine, great. It wasn't really a traditional 5-point start. Had the same effect, basically. I don't know what this ward does, by the way, for EG. I guess it prevents Blabber from trying to split the map, but not likely to do that. You don't do that. Well, I actually have no idea what that's for. Maybe they were getting. Maybe they saw them walk in and they put it down. That's just as far as they could put it. Is Huni playing this poorly? What's going on? This is why. Let me watch this, and I'll put it back to 2 times.
Is a slower clearer and a less healthy clear. This has been pretty substantial. Volibear jungle probably still in his best role, but brought down a fair bit as Licorice trades. Huni does some decent early damage. The grass still goes off.
Huni has actually spent so much mana already. That is kind of surprising.
You gonna
also worth noting
do it again? Okay, this is fine. Now, no, wait. Wait, what are you doing?
Feels like Conqueror is by far the most common, and then even after that, the PTA is I think.
That's very confusing. There's no reason for him to walk into that. I have no idea what that line of thinking was. What did he try to accomplish?
Like Conqueror is
Do you want to auto him? What?
playing lethal tempo. That
Yeah, he wanted to auto him.
is
What?
really quite uncommon.
And he walked into him again.
It feels like Conqueror is by far the
He's like waiting for this minion to die, I guess. What? Just wait for it at Q range and make Licorice at least walk into you to make him commit and then take damage from the minions. Instead, you walk into him. I mean, I think he's already getting targeted by the minions, right? And he's gonna get healed up anyway by his passive extra regen. But I mean, this is I don't know. Back to 2 times speed.
most common, and even after that, the PTA is I think a little bit more common still. So
That should just not happen.
Ruined here. It doesn't give you that much benefit.
He can deliver some pain back, but it's
just proc off a spell and then try pushing the wave with the
wait.
attack speed, and maybe that's the strategy here from Bang, looking less to actually interact and more just keep that shove before you poke with the Q, proc the tempo, and then just hard push the wave.
Be careful.
Did they get level 2 first? They did. Wait, Sven is level 1. Oh, because Vulcan got the ward. Really good. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I'm not sure how that happened. It's probably just not ideal. Probably just minor mistake. Okay. Interesting. Just let him do that, or you just no he. There's wait. Oh, Blabber's so dude. Blabber, if he just learned how to not be as aggressive, he would honestly be world class. Like that's the only. Look at how he played in the Fog of War, dude. Look how he hugs the wall. All right. I'm sure tons of junglers do this in the LCS. I'm just saying.
I think might know what Blabber could be up to. Doesn't see him come through as Blabber goes the other way around and just sneaks right by. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Man's like, all right, I know his jungle path. He always finishes and goes down
This Fog of War, he walked right through that fog. See, he skirted past the ward too. Like, it's so. Oh wait, no, that's his ward. Whatever. That's his team's ward. Never mind. He does actually end up having to give the double scuttle though. The reason for it is what exactly? So Svenskeren is a camp ahead because Volibear has an insane speed in clear speed. Did what? Red, Raptors, Wolves, Blue? Ah, that's actually that's cute. Oh, that's actually, you know what? Okay. So Blabber skirted the Fog of War, right? That was cool. What Svenskeren did is also kind of cool. So he knew that Blabber would want to go for this because Blabber, he's super aggressive and he probably does actually win that 1v1. Slash, because of Licorice having that push, he actually is gonna. Yeah, he's getting a recall off into Gangplank. So Svenskeren cannot necessarily do the Gromp, right? Even so, he actually skirts around. I don't actually know how he got it. It doesn't matter really, but he skirts around to this bush. Now there's too many things on the screen. He goes to this bush, ignores the Gromp, so that he can have position on the Scuttle Crab, knowing that Blabber would do this. So he gives Blabber an incentive to be here, so that he can take this for free. Also, somehow Golden Glue is pushing in Niski this matchup. And Niski also has some mana problems. I mean, this is a symptom of the Syndra nerf, but it is a little weird that he's able to actually move off of the wave freely into here. Huh, that's really cute because he predicted what Blabber would do and skirted around it so that he could get the crab. Because otherwise, Blabber is on some random camp that doesn't matter, right? And because of the position that Golden Glue has, if he's on Krugs, this is not his camp. And if he's on Raptors, Golden Glue can actually respond first. Or can at least defend Svenskaren's position, where he's already on the crab.
Doesn't see him come through as Blabber goes the other way around and just sneaks right by him. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Ben's like, all right,
That's
I know
cool.
the path. He always finishes and goes down to my bottom jungle. Where is he? Where is he?
Or maybe it was just completely random and he just wanted to waste time. You know, could be either one.
Yeah, well, the benefit here is that he's actually forced into an awkward path, so it should be a double scuttle for Svenskeren. They have to push bot lane. Golden Glue is pushing up in the mid lane too, so that is the benefit here. You know, he does kind of get escorted out.
I'm sure that Blabber's play was, let's see, the 3 camps, so blue, Gromp, red, into path here, go see if he can bother Volibear, then turn around, secure the Scuttle Crab into Raptors. But from this position, he can't go to Raptors, so he has to go around to his Krugs. Or he goes to Raptors and then he can go through the wave and get the second Scuttle Crab. So his play actually had a good line of thinking. It's just it was scouted well.
Yeah, at least with the skull, but man.
Yeah, well, the benefit here is that he's actually forced
Also, this ward.
strategy here from Bang, looking less to actually interact and or just keep that shove, or you hope with
How did Volibear move around it? I know that I just said that I didn't I didn't want to.
You don't really trade back on the alpha at that point, so then respectful until the wave comes back in. Level 2, of course, you're on both sides. But if Okan Bangs mean too much, nice Q lands. Easy auto attack pops the Guardian. Svenskeren, ooh, I think might know what Blabber could be up to. Doesn't see him come through as Blabber goes the other.
So Svenskeren actually moved. I don't know if this was spotted out, like if Svenskeren was known to be gone, or was if he ever actually went into Fog of War. No, he didn't. Or sorry, left Fog of War. So basically, he walked over here, then turned around. He didn't see. I don't think he saw anyone, but he walked over here and turned around, went to this bush as Blabber was walking over here. So he does this, which completely avoids any potential wards by the mid laner.
Around and just right by him. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Ben's like, all right, I know his jungle path. He always finishes and goes down to my bottom jungle. Where is he? Where is he? I know he comes.
Blabber obviously knows that he can get out.
And he's like, hey guys, I'm on this. Oh, yeah, I'm out. See ya. Go to the. Yeah, I'm in a bubble.
So he's not really too concerned. He just takes the crab, or the Gromp. Then he has to go to his Krugs. But then he does get double scuttled. And he's going to be behind tempo, because he's going to be doing the Raptors. And then he might be able to come back with more stats, though. He's going to do a full clear. This is really greedy by Blabber, actually. Blabber... I'm going to finish my thought about Blabber. So Blabber did Gromp, then he walked back over to Krugs. He's going to go to his Raptors, and he's going to full clear his blue side again. Basically ceding away any potential pressure on the bottom side. If this is known, or if this is properly, I guess, thought out by Svenskeren, like he sees that line of play and responds to it, then this is a free dragon. I wonder if that's what ends up happening. Because, yes, Svenskeren is... So they don't have any wards, right? They have the two scuttle crabs. Svenskeren backs, goes beelines it straight to his raptors. He's gonna probably go to his Krugs, then he's gonna look to do something on the dragon, right? Off of their staggered reset, there is. Yeah, I can literally see him on the map. So there's the Alistar. Will be able to put down offensive wards. So he actually might join Alistar in putting down some defensive or I guess some river vision. It's neutral vision. And by that point, he'll probably be in position to do the dragon anyway. Even though that inefficient. No, it's probably fine. It probably is better if he goes to his Krugs, then joins with Alistar somewhere like here, and then he does the dragon, then he goes to Raptors, then he does Wolves, then he does Grump. But it's probably minimal.
Already at half HP when lane phase starts.
Yep, not the worst though, at least, because he did get an okay trade back on Licorice. I thought that could have been a lot worse than it actually was. Huni actually had a barrel placed behind him where he was TPing into, which Licorice couldn't really run past the kill, so that allows you to threaten that easy barrel chain. And I think that's kind of what dissuaded Licorice a little
Yeah, I
bit
mean,
forward, so,
Blabber basically has to give up the dragon. He can't fight this.
But is falling behind in farm, that is somewhat expected to be pressured in, and we'll see how much this he can actually give up at his threat.
Well, bot lane not really pushing down. Svenskeren sitting on control ward was able to look
Go for it.
Nothing happening on the Cloud9 side.
Go for the dragon.
Very small CS deficit presented. Vulcan, kudos for defending Zeyzal from the lead down here. But
This whole time he could have taken it.
Man could have negative mana regen. Lane would be different.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's pretty dangerous.
Wait.
A little bit from pushing forward, so some nice foresight there from Huni to have that in place, and
Okay.
make sure that trade didn't go too poorly. But is falling behind in farm, is
Yeah.
expected to be pressured in, and we'll see how much this he can actually give up at his threat.
I understand. What is that ward? Then he gets pushed past his tower. I'm looking at Zoe.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's pretty dangerous to go in as also
Okay.
these types of lanes. Pre-level 3, you're not going to try to engage at all. You really do need all 3 spells. And then even post that, there's so much slowing between the
Then
go forward, and it's
fresh 2 ways. So I guess it
all
right. That it negates the potential for this play.
There's
no.
But
Now Blabber, because of his camps are on the other side of the map, he just leaves to go to the other side. And Svenskeren can they just like take a million years to decide to do the dragon, and then they kill the scuttle crab, and then the dragon, right? It could have been a little more decisive, I think.
But Niski is here. I think you're pretty dead no matter what.
He has oranges, Blabber getting a bit low, can't pull it, and with the TP in for Golden Glue, it's gonna be enough. Licorice, he's on top of the turret, the punch, the ulti, and it's gonna be a trade kill at the very least. Golden Glue,
Okay, you get a trade kill, you lose 100 gold. Wait. Alright, well,
For Huni as Cloud9 get their second kill up the top
Okay.
side.
Oh, not even
We never went back on that Huni TP, and we're not going to.
Instead, mindset, he's got the killer instinct, he's going for more, and it's gonna cause him to lose 2 waves probably.
Probably should have done a bit of a safer teleport, I guess is all. Because he just teleported right into that's loving arms and immediately lost 60% of his health. That was the only comment I had. Description of what happened. So this is close. Okay, so they did get the dragon, so that's good. He's just could have been a little more decisive, I think. I think they were being very, very cautious. I bet you in a scrim, they just do the dragon. Like, he doesn't even sit in that bush. He just is already on the dragon doing it.
So not only did Huni overchase and not get the kill, he lost multiple waves. And guess what happens when the wave's out of your turret? It means it pushes away from you. Your jungler is now not on the top side. Their jungler is. The wave is frozen on you.
Which is probably more dangerous, but...
That first 2 waves that he actually lost, minions are going to be denied to the tower. And Licorice can potentially freeze this. We'll see if he wants to push for some reason, but I would say you just hold. And with your jungler up on this top side, Blabber's going to be level 6 soon. He just actually hit it. So if Huni tries to push this in, you do have a good angle on a gank, or even you can potentially just push it in and try to dive again. Because this time,
if you have Golden Glue actually harassing Niski, you prevent Niski from being able to travel to it, and you have the Alistar tank the dragon, and then they can't just like walk into you. Or you can juggle. It was Ocean.
It's solid on
No, that's probably just super greedy.
But you do have decent range on the Ashe, and obviously the volley is effective. You have good initiation with the ultimate, so Ashe is a solid champion in the later stages. But you're more utility than Aphelios, who is obviously
It's actually. Hold on. It's gonna bother me if I don't think about it. That's what I do this for. to go back 5 minutes into the past to figure out if they could have done something different. Okay. So right here, obviously they do not know where. Okay, so if he did the Krugs, it is just better in general because he actually this cone of vision doesn't matter. So he can do the Krugs, he can join Alistar, and he can come into the dragon area. I can definitely understand not doing it because you'd think, well, he just obviously he did Raptors and reset, and then he's gonna come down and he's gonna check this to make sure we're not doing it, and then turn around and get his camps, right? It's a potential line of play that Blabber could have. So I can see the reason why they wouldn't just like tank a bunch of the dragon, get it to half, and then leash it for Blabber to just kill it. If they were fully aware of what was happening, they probably would have made a different line of play. But they could not have been fully aware. And Scarin is kind of waffling around.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's pretty dangerous to go in All-Star against these types of lanes. Pre-level 3, you're not going to try to engage at all. You really do need all 3 spells. And then even post that, there's so much slowing between the Ashe and this Bard that if you go forward and it's not like an instant kill or something, you're trying to retreat out of there, Alistar doesn't really have a lot of ability to actually escape. He's going to be looking for this roam now. Niski potentially could be engaged on.
These rushes move speed though, so let's want to flash and risk that Niski still. Actually, the E should have been down, so Niski would only be able to flash for cleanse to go away, but they don't want to burn the cooldowns. Didn't think enough to knock him down, so kill the control ward and give 30 gold over Golden Glue, who is up 3 CS in this lane. You look at how EG played against TL yesterday. Golden Glue, as a result, has the worst average gold difference at 10 in the league at -1000 at 10 minutes. He got absolute.
But then, I mean, they were kind of. At this point, they could definitely do it because Golden Glue had already moved this guy. I mean, you saw Lee Sin go upward, so I mean, this is free, right? So just do it. Get rid of that. Way. Have competent
Slammed by Jensen yesterday. This lane obviously going a lot better. And some of that
graphics, and let's keep watching.
Cloud9 up in gold overall, though, very slightly, and it's a big top lane lead for Liquor.
They're actually looking to dive on this wave. This is really dangerous from Huni. We'll see if he can actually clear this out whatsoever, but Niski is here. I think
he has oranges, Blabber getting a bit low, can't pull it, and with a TP in for Golden Glue, it's going to be enough. Licorice, he's on top of the turret, the punch, the ult, the end, it's going to be a trade kill at the very least. Golden Glue, takes one for the team, he TPs in, helps out. Now Blabber is an auto away from death, he can't flash follow, he's not losing the health, you gotta be kidding me, a heartbreak for Huni as Cloud9 get their second outside.
It's actually going pretty well for Cloud9. They're, I mean, 1k up, just about. They did lose the dragon, which is actually a pretty big win condition for them.
Cloud9 do end up, as a result, still coming out ahead on that play, but there was a lot of hesitation on that dive, honestly. It felt like they really kind of weren't sure if they wanted to still go through with it once the ultimate was dropped.
Scarin's probably going to reset after he does his red side.
So many turret shots, from Licorice here walking over, and no one was really starting it up, so it just felt like there was split comms or something there from Cloud9. But then Huni, he has a trial by fire passive, he flashes in for it, but the safeguard barely came back up there for Blabber, giving him enough health to get over the wall and come back into the execute.
I gotta say, I felt like Golden Glue overtakes on that one as well. You saw him running forward in to chase down Blabber initially, and
never mind. He actually does Raptors red, blue, or Gromp blue, and then he's looking at this. But this isn't really available to them due to the top lane discrepancy, as well as mid lane's pressure. Probably should have just reset there. I always dislike it when teams do things just to like be there. It doesn't help them. There's no participation award for going to a dragon, especially if you have no business going to the dragon. So. I mean, there can be reasons why you might dance around a dragon, but there's not any reasons why you would do it when you're not getting anything else anywhere else, and you're also not going to contest it.
But you do have decent range on the Ashe, and obviously the volley is effective.
Because he's not. Wait.
chase down Blabber initially, and it kind of set up for the easy CC.
Did I just?
That allowed
Oh,
Rojo
I
to
just.
come through, for Niski.
Oh, okay, okay.
And
He
he's almost
reset
there.
here.
End of the day, though,
No,
very
he
close
didn't.
game, 1,000 gold difference
So
not
then
up so
when did he
far.
reset to
The
get
back half to split Cloud9.
the items he has? Okay, he reset here. Okay, cool.
Massive
Wow.
round for the squad.
Yeah, what an improvement in the second half.
Most improved team, Cloud9.
Definitely. But this is also the aftermath of it. Is
Now
you're
he
only
like
really
doesn't
able to
have
do
anywhere to
your
go.
off
He's
waves. And guess
got
what?
his
When
wolves
you're
up and he's got
away,
his
your jungler
rugs
doesn't
up.
have
It's
a
really
lot.
it's
Your jungler is,
just
the wave is
not
frozen on you.
efficient
So
at all.
a lot more minions off of it. Besides just that first two waves that he actually lost, minions are going to be denied to the tower. And Licorice can
Then
potentially
he
use this
goes
information, but I would say
to
just hold.
Scuttle
If
Crab.
your jungler up on this top side,
So that's
you
fine.
he just actually hit it. So if Huni tries to push this in, you do have a good angle on a gank, or even you can potentially just push it in and try to
Looks
dive again.
mid.
Might not be so lucky for Huni.
Nice little bit of damage there for Golden Glue. Still holding pretty equal in the mid lane.
Continues to
And
look
top of it,
mid.
a little bit bad break.
Golden Glue misses
Now we look at
the
play towards mid. Niski,
bubble.
not put to sleep. Good side
So
shot.
he says, "Alright, I'm
Doesn't,
just gonna leave."
so out they go. By the way, cleanse still on Niski means there's not a lot of
And goes back
threats
to
for those does land. Zazel's taking on ward, looks to play the
doing
outside. Bot lane just kind of
the
farming back and forth right now.
Raptors.
I think Ash actually has pretty good game team fight damage. Played the Rune King plus
Pretty much ever since that dive, Huni has had to play very, very defensively and has effectively lost. Two whole waves. I mean, it's actually frozen right here, so he's never getting that. He has to. He actually has to have Svenskeren come, and Svenskeren's here, so he can actually aggress and push that wave. Now he can reset.
Yep. And if he just stayed at his turret and
Okay.
followed that wave, he probably beat you. And that's kind of the sad part about how top lane works is, if you make a mistake around minion waves and you overchase for kill there,
It was a little longer than it probably should have been, but also Svenskeren probably doesn't necessarily want to meet Blabber right now. This dragon is probably Cloud9's without contest. The one in 20 seconds.
But at least he is on GP, who can kind of farm from range with the barrels, and it looks like Licorice is heading down towards this dragon. They know they have TP advantage on the top side with Huni, so
Trying to think if the 10% ultimate CDR matters, and there it is. But okay, this is really messy. Go normal speed.
Licorice is heading down towards this dragon. They know they have TP advantage up on the top side with Huni, so Licorice is forced to do that, and as a result, Huni will be able to pick up the wave.
Okay.
Playing the bottom side, no one's there to help Sven.
Bang just gets his ultimate off. I actually don't think it's possible to cancel it. So once he started the animation, it always goes out. It's just a matter of getting the root.
Follow through because a nice ulti out of Vulcan keeps Bang from helping, so Sven stays alive, running 0 summoners. Re-engage Blabber.
That is probably about as good as it's gonna get in terms of direction. I don't know if he necessarily wants to hit them into Sven because that's not useful. And it actually just puts Sven in danger or kills him. So okay, but then you have to consider, okay, so who can get here first? Gangplank can immediately make the fight difficult, and then even though Syndra is going to be here sooner, Zoe is not super far off. I think she's actually farther than I'm indicating, or just at the edge of this corner here, way up here. So she's gonna walk down, but she also has extremely long range, so she can actually, she can bubble over this thing and then hit someone over here or over here, depending on the angle.
Kicks in, finds a knockup. Bang forces a flash away. Re-engage towards Blabber. He is slowed.
And you notice Blabber used everything to kick those two people, and then there was no follow-up in that direction. Vulcan doesn't really do anything. Sven doesn't really do anything. Sven, I guess, could have thrown an ultimate, but he's probably low on mana. Genuinely, he probably does not have the mana to do it. Or if he does have the mana to do it, it's that and then nothing else. And then it might be dangerous for him. He probably wants to hold on to it for another play. And then there's, again, no actual follow-up. That is walking down. Syndra's still walking down. I mean, this play was way too early by Blabber. So he dies. They do get some counter kills. Okay, that's really good, but Bang doesn't really matter in this game. So, okay, and he just dies. I don't think Licorice needed to do that either. I'm pretty sure when he sees Bang die, he just goes back to his team, which actually makes it go from a 100% Cloud9's dragon to now 100% EG's dragon because of how needlessly aggressive Licorice and Blabber were. See, right here, I mean, I get it. Like, you know, where do you have else to be? But also, just please go somewhere else. You're not. Yeah. I guess see, this is one of those contact. This right here is one of those places where they actually served a purpose. Because they were blocking off an entrance into their jungle to put deeper wards in, or to take their camps, which they potentially could have done, because it is 4v4, so that is a consideration. So if you don't necessarily want to invite people into your jungle, you can stand here, and then as they're dispersing, you can then go back and do useful things.
Losing all of his health, losing that summoner.
Here, actually useful.
A very squishy build. He's going Blade of Rune King, which is more about that
perfectly fine.
And, when things
the lack of dragons is really, 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 really painfully bad for Cloud9, by the way. Cloud9 really wish they were getting either one of those dragons, because they are getting hard outscaled. They're already hard outranged. If this play was done just a little bit slower, C9 might have been able to actually make.
Right as he flashes in, he was hoping to actually get.
He didn't need to do this.
He did not. As a result, he was easily focused down and first down, as he's not really building.
Okay, and then they switch bottom lane. Cloud9 switches bottom lane to the top side. Dragon is in 4 minutes, so they don't really need to be here. And I never seem to. I think it's based on the when it's captured, but did I know the on timer for the Rift Herald? Why don't I know that? Whatever. The Rift Herald is spawning within a few minutes, so they are here to make unequal numbers to make the Rift Herald theirs, which will let them potentially or hopefully snowball the map as well as their gold. They still have a lead. It's minimal, but it is still there. And as you can see, how relevant Bang is going to be this game. It's not a matter of him being bad. It's just his lot in life. Yeah. We actually see Volibear moving topside. They're probably going to have these two go get the blue buff, and then he's just going to do his camp seeds. I don't think they aggress onto the Scuttle Crab. I think that they have to give up position in this area, especially past the river, or this line right there. Yeah, see. Due to the unequal, not even just because of Blabbers potentially walking in here, it's the uneven numbers, especially with two really strong high range stuns. Okay. Oh.
And that means there's no more place we have in mid lane to do some wave clear. I gotta point out that the Rift Herald was dropped after that fight by Blabber up by his rump, and that Rift Herald was killed by ED before ever touched the bot lane.
Okay.
Is pristine right now. The Herald was killed, but
becoming an issue.
Wait,
it went from Licorice being able to aggress really easily onto Huni, and now into Huni is doing quite a bit. Push him away. This is very unnecessary. What did I not just say that they don't need to do this? What?
Can look to just drop that right up in top lane. I assume they will grab first earth themselves there also.
Aren't they listening to me in the past? From thousands of miles away? Come on.
Right now, minions go down, and it's time for the pressure play as Cameron's going to cross, and this is going to be a pretty easy fight towards, well, just Licorice wave clean, really. Nothing too much going on right now. We've got no Baron for a while, no Drake for a little while as well. First power spikes coming through. It's going to be done for Bang. Ruin King done for Sven to go for Hurricane. Very standard builds on both sides. So we manage here in the wave, and that's going to be about 40 bonus gold. He knocks them all down. Vulcan heading back to the bottom side as Sven reinforces. They weren't seen, so snap temporarily 3v1. You can't exactly Ashe engage a gangplank, so not much to do here. Apologies off a recall. There isn't one. Herald still has plenty of time to summon one, so Sven can take his time, but bot lane's going to take a lot of damage when the Herald does finally summon.
So 1 minute to the dragon. Let's look at let's item check. Item check. Alright. Gangplank does not have teleport. He's also like 25 CS behind the set. That is going to diminish over time. And frankly, with the 2 kills, probably even closer than what this indicates. So he can. So I don't think he's gonna have the gold to get the Triforce before the 3rd dragon. Or it's gonna be very, very close. Set has his Infinity Edge. Zoe has Luden's Echo. Cinderhulk is completed. Alistair doesn't really matter. But then we look at the other side. Niski is feeling real good about his build. He's actually about half an item ahead of Golden Glue. Half an item ahead on Labber. About even. I would imagine that both of these champions in the top lane are 1 or 2 waves away from their items. Probably not. Not 1, but regardless, still looking at a lot of first item completions already. Really importantly, Licorice has his teleport, and Huni does not. He does have the Cannon Barrage, which is good, but
Find some sort of engage. If Sven does move up and drop the herald, he could be at risk, but Cloud9 know this and will just back off after pushing out that wave. They're probably going to wait for Blabber to move down towards the side of the map. Procs that vision plant is going to try to take the scuttle out as well, give a little bit more protection for his bottom lane play aggressive here in bottom lane.
Again, very close game between these 2 squads as we wait to see when the Huni win condition comes through. Checking on EG with their roll swap so far. Yeah, I mean, Huni's had a rough time in the early game, but they picked him for his mid to late game prowess.
I mean, this is fully controlled by Cloud9, so it's just a question of that. Yeah. Oh, that's painful. And this is the issue with this kind of composition. They're going to be in this really weird spot, and I mean, look at how much not damage is happening. And Licorice is just coming in to die. Vulcan is trying his most. He actually does get does end up getting Zoe, which might be enough. Fellas, I don't even what the hell happened to him? What? Did he die? Did I like was he on a reset? Oh no, he died. He had to have died. Oh no, he did die. He just immediately died and I didn't even notice. Again, it doesn't matter because none of the fight is ever going to be within his range. And if it is, he's dying because they're going to dive him. He's really just a bait target so that they don't use everything on Zoe and Gangplank. That's actually his function. So this is again EG's. This is really, really, really painful for Cloud9. Golden Glue really doing his job, taking out Sven. And that should have been actually enough. Getting the flash on Sven would have been enough for most teams, but Cloud9 is a scrappy team, and they went for as much as they could. Even knowing that the play would have had uneven numbers. Very high confidence.
Too little too late. He is able to get 1 kill back here, thankfully for him, but is very switchy. Again, when you do go this Play the Room King style, you are really, really switchy in the team fights, and it's more about that side lane where they kind of lost the advantage off of that bot lane TP play that we made earlier. So
the Baron is about to come up.
Well, it means the game is remaining fairly close. I will say the gold lead is stretching slightly.
Now it is a question of
them being ahead, but Mountain Soul comes in soon. It's basically straight stats. It's really good against the and assassin-ish Lee Sin, grabbing some more attack damage on him. So
Bang it. There it is. Bang is objective. He's Baron. He's the Baron problem. So he actually creates this issue, right? Felios is Jesus. Like yeah, this tower was dead anyway. I don't think this is necessary for Cloud9 to really defend it. I think Vulcan played a little too aggressively. But back to Aphelios. Aphelios is really strong at taking Baron. And so that is a huge consideration. Because while Aphelios is not necessarily useful in a fight, he actually just had the best guns for it, but when he has the best guns, I mean, he just absolutely deletes objectives. Similar to what Azir and Cassiopeia, Kaisa used to be able to do.
Yep, and a lot of it is just off the team fighting, right? It's less about that 1v1 and more just about
Kaisa can still do, but he's not picked as often.
So credit to him for being in the right place, right time, from having that TP and despite being behind.
I really actually like the. By the way, this is really good usage of the blue trinket. Setting up this defensive vision kind of in a permanent state, where sure you're going to lose it if they ever walk in, but then you'll know if they walk in, and you don't ever have to reapply it. Also, these are on two champions that are never. I mean, Bang never actually wants to see anyone. He would prefer if no one was on his screen. Basically, that's his. He's chilling. Everything else is danger. So, it makes sense for him to go blue trinket here. I think that more AD carries probably, or I guess Quicker should go blue trinket, but because there's some AD carries that just never switch. And of course, I mean, Golden Glue is very long range, so this makes the most sense. Where it actually lets him spot people out while he's trying to poke them. Okay. So in this spot, Cloud9 are looking to eliminate the wards by evil geniuses. What is the dragon timer? Why are they? Hold on. Is the dragon timer 2 minutes? Okay, it's 2 minutes. So EG push top lane with Zoe. Zazel on the Alistar is defending Zoe's position, so she doesn't just get killed. This is actually really smart because they know exactly what Cloud9 want to do in these fights. They're clearing out vision in the mid lane and around the mid lane. Oh, they're not actually going to go for Baron vision. Makes sense because the dragon's about to come up in a minute. This is a very weird cannon barrage. Actually does literally nothing. This is actually potentially a good spot for Bang because it's tight. Okay, look at how much he's just not doing. Oh, that's Golden Glue. So now you have the zone control problem of the Gangplank. You have the zone control problem of the Golden Glue of the Zoe. And they're gonna go for this anyway, even though they're not really allowed to. Bang is not this terrifying. I don't know why he thinks he can do this. Okay, they kind of poorly played. So let's start off with the fact that this is a little aggressive. They should probably not start it. I guess they're trying to force the issue, but why would you want to force the issue? No, I guess because you want to force the issue so that you don't just get zoned out entirely and then get poked and then you just lose. So sure.
Up mid lane wave, healing up off of that. It's C9 though that actually leashed the dragon gear first. They're gonna try to rush this down. They know.
So they're trying to get it down.
Zazel's in a position to flank here. Could potentially go.
But this is super weird. I mean, they have no idea. Like their vision is very limited. They have vision here. They don't have vision anywhere past like here. So this whole area is dark for Cloud9. And they only see 4 people. Interesting. They also just got tagged with a Sleepy Trouble Bubble. I mean, this is probably their best target because he's going to take the least amount of damage from it. In any case, not good. This is obviously what they want to avoid. This is why they're doing this as fast as possible so they can do it and get out. I'm pretty sure Bang actually... Hold on. Did Bang cancel the... Bang. Bang canceled the sleep, so the extra damage doesn't get applied from Zoe, so that's unfortunate. Okay, wait. How? What? What did he... Oh.
He's in a position to flank here, could potentially go.
Flank. Can they stop Blabber? Hex flash in, finds the double
Okay,
stun.
there's
Licorice
a double
out,
barrel
a bit low, goes away. The
on
first
Sven
kill
and
coming from
Vulcan,
Sven.
and
Looking for the
then
trade kills, could be too
Licorice.
good. It's a 1-for-1 so far. The backline's cutting away.
Very
5 HP, just barely
interesting.
lives. Zazel finds another stun. Tries to lock up Licorice, but
Kind
where
of
is the follow-through?
messy.
No one's near him. Redemption.
Golden Glue
C9
misses
back
quite a
up.
few
Danger
things.
now for EG.
Bang
Golden Glue's in
is
a
just
fast
like
spot.
off
The
to
double
in no man's
stun.
land. Just like
Rojo
he's like, alright, I'm just gonna get this
finds the
wave.
first kill, and now Cloud9 outnumbered. Has to be back.
We're not really able to get in there.
But maybe positioning is good enough on the EG side. Problem is, Sven Skarin is dead. They cannot secure this Drake.
Oh, that's cute.
That is
That's
crucial.
really actually unfortunate. He had no mana.
And now he can team fight again. Will there be a paddle star? There is, and he solo kills Vulcan.
That's
This might be
real
what they
unlucky.
need. Flashes forward, looks for Blabber, tries to find the slow, will land the Q, and forcing him out. And now the GP ulti on, they know he
You gonna
cannot
get
join
this?
this one. Hooney can easily force the jungler
They just
away.
get the
And
ocean,
this
or
means
not
no one
the
is
ocean,
going to
the
stop
mountain soul.
Mountain Drake from going
The mountain soul actually is.
Can Licorice do it all? The arrow's going to land onto the sun.
I
The mid lane.
swear.
The fight
Okay.
comes through, and it's going to be Golden Glue securing it, plus the kill. Mountain Soul.
Did he switch to smite? He did. Okay. Unsealed spellbook, very, very good. Very underappreciated. I think it's just there's so much skill expression with it. It's actually so fun watching people use the unsealed spellbook. There's just so many cool things you can do with it. This is one of those good cases where, oh, I don't need a jungler. I can just get smite myself, and I'm gonna have more levels, so it's actually a better smite. Yeah. So this is never gonna work.
Except Licorice. Can Licorice do it all? The arrow's going to land onto the mid laner. The fight comes through, and it's going to be Golden Glue securing it, plus the kill.
A little close, but
Mountain Soul
Set does
through
not have
evil
a burst.
geniuses. The gold is nearly tied. EG are beating Cloud9.
Well, at least not burst that much.
Performance here
That much
from
burst.
EG
Burst
coming
that
back
much.
off of
I.
a terrible performance against TL.
Yep.
They are looking really, really good
English.
here. Able to fight this one out by narrow margins. Golden Glue landing to sleep early on. He has been great in a lot of these fights. And the flank from Vulcan, that really was what was key, getting the engage onto both the bot lane members. Niski chunked
You
down,
know who I
Niski
think
pushed
is the
out.
actual
Pretty
MVP
much
of this
all
game?
Cloud9 was
Zazel.
pushed back immediately off of that flank, and their bot
I think
lane went
Zazel
down. Then Licorice here
understood
stuck around.
the opposing composition and then knew how to play against it
Had to TP back in.
by
He catches Vulcan
babysitting
there,
the
so
most
he goes
vulnerable
there,
targets
allows
and the ones that are
Vulcan
most
to
valuable to your
but
team.
Mooney TPing back in with full health there was
So
just too
he
much.
babysat
Now
Zoe
you're
instead of
playing
sitting
from
1-3-1
behind
in mid
here
lane.
is Cloud9 with the soul to
So he actually
deal with
made
it.
a
Just
what
gonna negate
2-2-1
that flat
situation.
that actually is coming out from
Um,
Niski and be an additional source of shielding, right? You know, you don't have that threat of just 100 to 0 nearly as easily with the Lee Sin, with the Syndra, who are looking to burst down members like Bat.
Golden Glue's been playing well as well.
People almost always do when you add in that. When you
At
add
least
in Red
during
Bull
the
overheal, you
fights.
add in the Mountain Soul.
What was happening in
You
lane
have
is a
hundreds of
mystery
shielding
because it was
potentially
never panned
at
to.
the start of a fight that just negates
I
it.
guess I could have, if I was paying attention to the minimap, I could have seen who was getting to push places. But even in those cases, it seemed like Zoe, that Golden Glue was using his
typically have incredibly good mid to late game plays.
using his
That
time
said, they
wisely.
are certainly behind here, and maybe they've been outscored
Now it's
top
just
line
super
based on the
painful.
fact
I
that
mean,
Null is in.
the
I will
lead
say
is not that
Blue
big.
works out very well against
500
Soul.
gold.
They're at full health for longer,
But
so
Mountain
more
Soul
damage
makes
out of the
one-shotting
base.
anyone
Health damage,
impossible.
there's a very minor
Uh,
effect there that helps out, but
And
still, yes, the back foot for C9 on this side.
so now this entire composition is just like not allowed to play the game.
Means that EG will not lose vision control for a while. Golden Glue wants to sleep, can't quite find Niski. Ulti almost lands, re-engage comes through, a lot of damage in the back lines. Then he can try, but he can't get away.
As usual, the Cloud Soul would have been the best soul to roll for Cloud9's position, but even then, it's actually not super great because the potential kiting power or the catch potential on increased movement speed with all of these ultimates is super insane.
Gonna take this Baron as a duo. Ward coverage pretty good on EG, means Blabber cannot sneak around. It's gonna be damage through on from Golden Glue. Look for the sleep, can't get it yet. Blabber once again pushed away. 2-manning Baron as 3 pushback C9. Blabber's gotta be in a lot of danger here. Slow
Going
down
fairly
again.
slowly. really, because it's just two people. But Golden Glue understands what he's supposed to do. Dazel understands what he's supposed to do. Look at this. Look at a team that understands their functions, what they need to be, where they need to be. This actually feels really good. It's not clean. It's not 100% clean, but it feels really nice to see a team that recognizes not only their opposition, which we saw with Svenskeren in that very early Scuttle Crab play,
that was not even close to a 50-50.
but we also see understanding of how to play just the composition, which is something that it's such a low bar. It's such a genuinely low bar, but it's not hit so many times that it becomes impressive when teams are finally doing what their composition is kind of designed to do.
Cloud9 was looking for a pick on that bottom side, hoping someone would get greedy from EG and come down there to market.
And also playing against specifically what the opposing composition is trying to do.
Pretty much for sure, and it's going to mean a huge injection of gold into the hands of EG, who are already getting very far ahead. Bang nearly has his death stance. Hooney's working on an IE.
But of course, there's also the compositional difference. This is just having such, it just is going to have a bad time into this composition. It has to get such a lead for it to feel good into this.
A bit of scouting from the Volibear, some pressure at the top side. Maybe the inhibitor turrets will not crack just yet. A minute and a half.
I suppose you could argue that both compositions feel pretty bad when behind, but at least this one has the option to get strong enough that at least the EG composition gets strong enough that it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have an out. Whereas this, even though the lead, again, until just recently, it was basically even, they just couldn't play the game. That's problematic. When you're even or within a certain, like, if you're within 2K and it doesn't even seem like you can play the game, you have a draft problem. At least, maybe not like a sweeping systematic draft problem, but like or systemic.
So on point with the Hex Flash going over the wall with the GP ult to slow them down.
It's just that the current composition that you have is lacking.
It meant that the rest of EG
it had an idea. It is congruent, which is one of the things that I like to see. Having, you know, a composition, not just a bunch of champions that we've picked together, but into the composition that EG picked. It's not great. And EG is one of those teams that actually does that with their drafts. I genuinely think they have good drafts. The one from the game previous to this one during this weekend was... Wait. Okay, it doesn't matter, but... Look at how many times they kill Bang. I guarantee you Bang has done like 8k damage this game. Wait. Okay, no, this is going fine. You just win the game. Yeah, no, there's no way that Bang... look at how much gold. He had by far probably the most gold. At least given to him. 300 CS. No one else on his team even remotely close. The solo laners clearly have been giving away CS to him. It doesn't even matter. It's actually like the opposite of what they should be doing. And bam. Oh, that's BM. But cute. Yeah, I'd love to know how much damage he did. I cannot imagine. Wait, does it actually show me the stats? It will show me the stats. Champion damage share, 17%. A lot more than I thought. 28%. Yep. 30. Look at this. Look at who the real carries are. What did I say? 28% from the mid laner, 34% from the top laner, and then 10% from the two tanks. And Sven and Ashe is mostly utility. So yeah, no, this game actually went pretty much exactly how I thought it would from draft. At least during the mid late game. My ability to discern exactly what happens during a early game is very it's a work in progress for sure. In any case, this was fun, and you did. I didn't have anything. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna bye.